Hello everyone. A very good morning. Hope I am audible clearly. Can please somebody confirm? Screen visible and moving. Well, okay, very fine. Before we go ahead with other things, yesterday I received a couple of calls. Is there anybody you are not getting text? Is there anybody who is missing from that WhatsApp group? Your batch may be PGA 48916, depending upon your location. But the group on which I am communicating, it is named Ematicus PGA 9. That is for Delhi location, the location I belong to. So is everybody there? Is there somebody who is missing from that group? Yesterday I got to know somebody was missing. So if there is anybody missing, please connect with your counselor and get along, because that is the WhatsApp group where I am communicating. So Shankar, maybe connect with your counselor. I think I think I think you said it. It's Ina, right? Harika PG 16. So okay, I think that's code for Bangalore. You from Bangalore? So please speak to Vinodha or Gagan there. Maybe you know your counselor there. Okay, so that is well, that should not be your concern actually. That should not have been this way. These are coding for these are internal codings by Marticus, depending upon the location in the country. But since currently these classes are being run from Delhi, so the code is 9 for that. Okay, so connect with your counselor and get yourself added to that WhatsApp group. That well, that's fun. Is there anybody who did not submit your assignment? Is there anybody who did not submit? And why is that? May I ask? Monarch, you, I know about you. What about Aditya? I didn't get to know anything. Okay. Whatever it was, whysoever, Shubhangi, I see that you were able to submit. So that's a pleasant surprise. Good to see. Now, before I go to assessment, I have not assessed it yet. That's I think that's pretty obvious. Yesterday it was just submission day, so today I will not discuss that. But how did you people find it? Way too easy, way too difficult, interesting, confusing, boring. Three options. Three options. BCI, boring, confusing, interesting. Okay. Okay, very fine. So with this, we are coming to conclusion of DDL and DML part of SQL, and we will go ahead with our module with data science and statistical analysis in R. So that is your first bimester. So we are supposed to complete that in a duration somewhere between 2.5 to 3 months. SQL part, SQL part was supposed to be introduction. It's not, mind you, Monarch, coming on to that. Mind you that it is not over yet. It is just one side of SQL. There is another side of SQL which is waiting for you. We will meet that in your Hadoop module when we will be dealing with big data. So when it comes to big data, then we'll talk about that. Okay, your course is designed that way that you may be from a very strong coding background. You may not be from any of the coding or mathematical background, but we will walk you through these processes in stages, and within a month or two, all of you will be at a common decent platform from where everybody can pick up, everybody can launch. Okay, so everybody, those whose machines are ready, work along with me. Monarch and anybody who doesn't have machine ready, just please follow it and maybe note down somewhere so that you can install, do these installations later on by yourself. Okay. Anyway, you should install it later on. For now, you can just follow installation. Installation we will do later on. So today, what we are going to do is we will install the uh, R software. Meanwhile, I'll keep on talking as usual. I'm talkative, so I'll keep discussing many things on the journey. So just Google this. If you type can or project, maybe it will give an auto suggestion. There in the chat box. We are just installing currently, Jagdeep. Just Google it simply. Most probably you will receive auto suggestion. CRAN project. So that's what CRAN stands for. CRAN stands for Comprehensive R Archive Network. The first link. Once you are here, you will see options to install are for various platforms. Anybody who is working on Linux machine? Is it somebody working on Linux machine? Anybody who has Mac? Anybody with a Mac machine? Where are they? Where are they? The bold and the beautifuls. Where are they? Okay, even okay. Jokes apart. In fact, it is it's in a way it is good if you have Mac machine or you have Windows machine. If there is a Linux machine, I would say okay, the installation is tricky and the analysis is further trickier. So better to use a Mac or Windows machine if you can. Otherwise, it's not very major issue. You can anyway. Yes, let's say it can work. It doesn't matter. So most of you are having Windows machines, so just go through it. The process is similar. It has nothing very tricky to do. You click on here, and here would be base, contrib, this, and there would be a link here. This link install R for first time. So click on that, and the installer setup will begin to download a .exe file. So download it. Getting this screen. So that is eventually what you have to install. R version. Now download that. What are we going through is we are installing R. R is the software. R is the tool which will conduct further analysis. We have tools like to collect data. If I want to collect data, what are the tools available? How can you record data on your machine? There are several tools available. It could be MS Word, it could be Excel, right? Just now, yes, you have seen SQL, so it can be Workbench. It can be a damn PDF file. We have been through this. So anything is data. It may be a crude form, it may be a very sophisticated form. So these are tools for data collection. I can write a Word document, I can write an Excel file, I can keep a PDF file, I can keep a physical file. Now when it comes to, so that is data collection. Now we are talking data analysis. So for analysis, again there are several tools. R is one of them. Then there are, yes, exactly. There are tools which are, like Excel. Excel, it is not much of coding. Rather than that, it is click, click, click. R is more of coding and less click, click. Okay, reason being, click, click is okay, seemingly easy, but it is not that efficient when you want to do when you want to dig down into data. You need better tools, efficient tools. Thankfully, 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 it is unlike what Sonam says. Maybe like C, but it is not that typical. We will see that. Meanwhile, go to another thing, Google Art Studio. Maybe it will also appear by auto suggestion. You see this screen? Okay, go to downloads. Now, before we download, is there anybody who is using 32-bit machine? Check your that my computer or my PC or this PC kind of icon on the desktop. Right click and check properties. So just see if anybody of you is using 32-bit machine. Tell me if you see that on there. If it is 64-bit, you have nothing to worry about. So we come down to downloads and we are going to download RStudio. Just now we downloaded R software. Now we are downloading RStudio. Now what is RStudio? This is IDE for R. What's an IDE? Can somebody tell? Integrated Development Environment. I think the full form is that. Don't exactly. Kind of. So what RStudio is, it is IDE, it is like user interface. Okay. You know coding is already pain. So if you code for everything and each and everything, so that becomes like what you said. Those who have a taste of C programming, C or C++ or C sharp. Yes. So let's avoid that altogether. So IDE is just like user interface. Just imagine you are using an ATM. How do you use ATM? You are not very much interested how machine is communicating with the bank. You press the screen a few times, here, there, and it gives you the money. So that is kind of user interface. It is interacting with you, and you are not very much interested in what is the entire coding behind that. Down below there are several options. Which version you have to install? Oh, why are you asking me this? Do you want to pay $995? If you want to do that, maybe go ahead. However, I would recommend go for the free one. You are already paying a handsome amount. Why pay further? So go for the free desktop version and download. You will get this screen. Manohar, Google CRAN R project and it will walk you through. There are simple procedure. I mean, that is not a procedure, that is simple things to follow. Google this thing. It will take you to the link CRAN R project. You click on. Is it so? Guys, can you confirm? Am I reasonably clear? No cracking, no breaking of voice. So maybe connection is troublesome at your end, Abhimanyu. Okay, might be. See, please keep patience. Don't fire just for a minute or a few seconds if that happens. Okay, meanwhile, I missed that somehow. For Python, we use Jupyter Notebook. Yes, for Python, you use Jupyter, correct? Do we have to download desktop or server? Okay, that's pretty much clear. You have to download the desktop and which version? The free one. Yeah, पैसे नहीं देते हम. We don't pay. Yeah, we are Indians, the proud Indians. We can use Jupyter for R2. Actually, yes, we can. But I don't want to confuse everybody, Jyoti and Rehan, for now. So when we use R, usually people use RStudio. It can be done. It is not impossible. It can be done. In fact, Jupyter is my favorite too. I also like it very much. But for our tool, we are not going there. We will use it for Python only. Okay, people. So you got the idea. R is a tool which will conduct analysis. RStudio is just a user interface and IDE to communicate with R. How I communicate with R? See, I am doing analysis in R. I need to tell R something and R will tell me something. RStudio is just the bridge in between. It is nothing more than that. It is just a way that I can communicate efficiently and R can communicate back efficiently. Okay, RStudio will not do anything by itself. So first you will install R. You will keep all the default settings. Please do not customize for now because it will troublesome. It is only going to trouble here and there. So when both the setups are ready, not now, maybe later on, you will do that. Install R first with all default settings, and once that installation happens, you will install RStudio again with default setting. Do not customize for now. We'll customize things later on. Once both installations happen, you will see in your program files there will be an R folder. It would have two versions, 386 and x64. There would be RStudio. RStudio, the icon would look like this in beautiful sky blue font. So since I have already installed them, so I would not do that. I would rather than I would take one of your you guys screen and rest can follow. Anybody who would like to volunteer? Okay, fair enough. Abhimanyu, you are presenter now. If you have both the setups ready, please share the screen.
Good morning, sir. Sir, is my screen visible to you? Hello.
Yes, it is now. Very fine.
Okay. Sir, this
Everybody,
is the setup for Crayon R. Okay.
all others, you are somewhere here.
Should I click on next, sir?
Uh, there are people whose setup is not yet ready, Abhimanyu. So we'll come to that part later.
Okay.
And that's
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. You just guide me, sir, whenever I have to click on next or something.
sure, I will do that. So for now, you can stay with me. So okay, Mansi, maybe we will do that later. So it is just setup, so it is nothing very tricky, which you have, where I have to, walk through you, walk you through that. So it is not needed, but anyway, I'll do that. So good news, Mansi, you can stay. We'll do something else. We'll not, not bore you. Well, meanwhile, there would be certain things which terminology we have not covered yet. We went into SQL and coding, and then there are some theory part which you should again know. The store, the story started with something called data. What is data? Any piece of information which is collected, that's data. Then we talk about what are data sets. Now, data set is anything, an information put together, recorded somehow, physically, electronically, whatsoever, that compiles into a data set. We talked about something called database. Now we were talking this much. We have talked many a time. Now what is once we perhaps I discussed for a very short time. What is a database and what is a data warehouse? Perhaps I talked about this. Can somebody give me a quick heads up? What are they? We talked about this kind of thing. Yes, I have n number of files in n number of formats. Do we call that a database? I mean, well, end of the day, it is database, but it is not organized. It is not an organizational data cannot be that way. Right? It has to be in a it has to come into a certain standard, and it has to come to terms with a certain kind of sync. So when we say something like this, database versus data warehouse. Now, what's data warehouse? So data warehouse is something is an which is industry standard, which is organization standards. Your data, how it will be kept, how it should be there, and it should pertain certain properties should be there. Fair. So data warehouse has certain properties. So there are four key properties of a data warehouse. What are they? Maybe I discuss these also shortly. Somebody? So well, logically we already know, we can understand, we can think of these properties by ourselves. Somebody has put them into words and gave a very succinct definition of data warehouse. Property number one, that it should be an integrated repository, right? It can have multiple data sets, and yet it can be integrated. Those tables can be integrated as and when required, right? You have done that already. You have done that. You have seen that by your own hands. You can join these tables as and when required. Multiple tables, two-way join, three-way join, and number of joins. Another property of data warehouse is that it is we say it like this, that it is subject oriented. A database becomes a data warehouse when it is subject oriented. What is that supposed to mean? Somebody? Any idea? Yep, here again. Uh, okay, it was that I was not speaking, people. I had to spare a minute. So, yeah, have mercy on me. I cannot speak continuously, no, for 2 hours. Maybe I will breathe in between. So spare me that moment. So I was talking about integrated repository. Integrated in the sense like you have already seen that an organization's dataset for the same employees there would be a dataset which is being managed by accounts department. For the same employees there is a dataset which is being managed by HR department according to their function. Every department be having a story. Yes or no? HRs would be recording when did he join, when did she take leave, whether there is an behavioral issue with this guy, have there been any, you know, disciplinary actions. Accounts department will be having a different story altogether. They would be watching what? They would be watching how much money we are paying, how much tax we are deducting, this and that, and so on. Admin department, they would be recording entirely different thing. They would be recording whether he is coming on time, whether she is leaving on time, this, that. So once this all data is, I'm if I am planning to create a data warehouse and keep this data in a single story, then it should be an integrated repository. This all data should come together as and when required. That's integrated repository. Subject oriented. Subject oriented is that the purpose of having this data warehouse is already defined. It is oriented towards a goal. What's that? Whatever goes into this data warehouse, it has some purpose. For example, those of you who have been in interviews or may not be even in interviews, but if you are keen enough to look at, currently HRs are doing one thing, they are keeping your data, whether you are selected or rejected. If you are selected, you are already on board, so welcome. But even if somebody is rejected, they are keeping that data. May not be for entirety, but for a very reasonable time. You people know that? Do you know that? Now, why do you think they are keeping that data? You are anyway not selecting them. You are anyway, they are not getting to be your employee. Why that data? What would you do with that? Is there any purpose? Yes, you can figure that out. There are several purposes to this. That data serves many purpose. Purpose number one, which is very obviously you have, and very correctly you have mentioned, many of you. What if there is again position open and we again call this candidate and he or she again appears? Waste of time. If we don't know already, we have, there should be some marking, no? There should be a red mark. We have already spent time, money, and energy over this candidate, and now we are not happy with that. Somehow, for some reason, this candidate doesn't suit my organization. Why call him or her again? Why waste their time and energy? Why waste ours? So, just in case, yeah, for maybe 6 months or 3 months or maybe a year, because nothing is going to change in 3 months. More or less, it will be the same guy. If we are calling for interview after 2 years, or 1 year, or 2 year, or 3 years, yes, now the story may be changed. So that's one reason. Another reason, any another reason? Could you think of? Another reason is, suppose the candidate is promising, but not suitable for this role, maybe for another role. So let's keep that in mind. Let's stick to this candidate, and as and when that position opens up, Maybe we will give him or her a call. I hope it makes sense. This whole story. Yes or no? Candidates don't know. The HR knows. There may be further positions, no? So that is subject orientation. The purpose of gathering this data is, it is already focused. Then there is another property of data warehouse. It is that a data warehouse is non-volatile. What is that supposed to mean? Repeat what? Is it clear, guys? So far, whatever I am talking, clarity? Well, fair enough. Non-volatile. Now, what is that? Non-volatile means yes, you do not change its values every now and then. Now, get this point right. Get the distinction right. It does not mean that you will not correct data. If the data is wrong, you will correct it. Of course, you will correct it. If an entry is wrong, you should correct it. But you will not make unnecessary changes. For example, deleting past records. This data is now 10 years old. Maybe we don't need it. Yes, maybe you don't need it, but you don't just delete it for that purpose. What if tomorrow you need it? Getting the idea? So that's non-volatility. Another thing which very useful, like say I don't want to condemn HRs here, but yes, they are very fond of doing these kind of things, and I don't know why. Suppose we are recording data of employees. So here is okay employee code, and then we are doing what? We decided to keep record of their salary. What is the monthly salary of this employee? What we are paying. So HR decides, and mind you, HR people, I don't know why they are very fond of doing these kind of things. They are recording salaries, say 60K, 50K, 20K, salaries of people. Then they decide, let's not record monthly salary. Anji, what is the popular term nowadays? Heard of it? Yeah, you talk about it. In these terms, yes. Some HRs coined it, just to look fancy. Let's not talk about a monthly salary. Let's talk about cost to company. That sounds rather fancy. Okay, cost to company because you are paying him salary. You are also paying for. Yes, you are paying him salary. You are also paying for his coffee. So maybe add that too. Then there are performance bonuses and this and that. So let's add them all together. Then one fine day you decide, let's not talk CTC also. Heard of another fancy word? Heard of this? This is employee side of the story. What is employee saying? That don't talk to me in these fancy terms. Tell me in a nutshell. What is the take home? Take home salary, in hand salary, this and that. So these kind of things should not happen to database, your data warehouse. That is what is meant by non-volatile. You don't change these variables every now and then just because you want to look fancy. Getting the idea right? So non-volatility, it does not mean that you will not correct data. If there is wrong entry, of course you will correct. If you have entered 10K, actually it was 1 lakh, of course you will correct it, right? But no unnecessary updating, altering, deleting. Then comes the fourth property, and it is that a data warehouse is time variant. Now the test, if you can tell me, are they contradicting each other? Just now I said that it is non-volatile. Now I am telling it is time variant. It varies with time. No, actually, they are not contradicting. Again, I wanted to try to explain this non-volatility. Non-volatile. It means yes. It doesn't mean that you will not add up. You will have new data next year. Yes or no? Everybody will have next data, new data within a few months. You will have, I will have, Google will have, Amazon will have. So that data will be added. So these things will vary with time. Somebody just said it just a moment ago. Somebody was having salary 80K, now he or she is promoted. Don't you want to change this? Of course you will change this. So these updations with time, they will happen. Unnecessary updations, they will not take place. These kind of things. These should not happen. Aberrations should not happen. So in that sense, it is non-volatile and still it will vary with time. Fair, good, okay, clarity. So don't ask the question what is database versus data warehouse. So that is altogether wrong question. Any data warehouse, eventually it is database. Database is anything but data. But it becomes data warehouse when it contains some properties. Okay, all good. So a database, when it shows these kind of properties, when we make sure that it has these properties, it becomes data warehouse. So this is an organization level data. Now it is usually it is used for analysis and making business decisions. Can there be another kind of database? Yes, there can be another kind of database which would not have these properties. So it is not data warehouse, but still it is database. So what is the use of such database? We call them transactional database. Here, databases can be either they can be data warehouse, which are used to contain an organization's data. A management, senior management may look at their data, and if they analyze it properly, they may go for some business decisions. So that kind of thing is data warehouse. It is used for that purpose. Another kind of database can be transactional database, which is used for uh, making transactions. Not its primary purpose is not analysis. Its primary purpose is to carry out transactions. If you have shopped on, I'm sure you have shopped online. You see that once you create an account, so there is already your information almost hand ready. Your credit card number or debit card number, your UPI, your delivery address, this and that. It is almost hand ready. You just have to enter the OTP and you are done with that. So that is also database. But its primary purpose is not to not analysis. It is to carry out transactions. You may consider example of anything. You can consider. You can consider example of ATM. I said that also. Yes or no? You get into an ATM, you insert your card, and a few clicks later, you get some money, and you are done with that. How does the ATM know that which account number is this? Who is this person? So we are not going into there. We are not interested in that kind of analysis. But yes, the transaction has happened. So that is the purpose of that kind of database. In technical terms, we call them processes. So data warehouse, it is used for OLAP, Transactional database, it is used for. Anji, what is it? Yes, OLTP. Heard of these things? OLAP stands for Online Analytical Processes. OLTP stands for OLTP stands for what? What I just said. Online Transaction Processes. So this much you needed to know. I'm showing you an illustration. Give it a minute or two. Have a look. Try to understand what each of distinction is. These are the basically, everything what is different in our TDB and data warehouse. So depending on the factors like end user and developer and whatnot, so there are several things. Have a look and do tell me if there is any question. Have a look, give it some time. I'm pausing here for a minute. Would like to see any question if there is any. So, Anji, getting some idea? You must have got a fair idea by now. There may be questions, but mostly, I think most of the parameters you have got them already. Okay, maybe there can be some questions. Would be good to see. Cognos is a tool. Yes. Technology is service side API. Yes, again, just like the example of you have seen, maybe of ATM or maybe of a website, payment gateway. You just click and go through it. You just cruise throughout. You're not interested, you don't go to the actually, to see what that database contains. BI is, yes, correctly stated, business intelligence. Business intelligence, again, a fancy word for visualizations. Canned reports are nothing but they may be electronic or maybe physical lists basically. If you want to see your history on Amazon, you will see what are the orders you have placed and what was the amount and what were the invoices, that kind of thing. So it is just a list of invoices. You can see that you're not analyzing that for anything. Dimensional modeling, well, you have seen that, we created a schema. We don't want it to be just one master table for several reasons. Because the data comes from various departments, data comes from various sources. That's one. Secondly, keeping one master table and updating it and doing this kind of thing, so that is way too tedious. So that is dimensional modeling. A data warehouse, it would be a dimensions. There would be a fact table, and then there are several dimensions, and we can call them as and when required. Your transactional database, on the other hand, it is basically just one fact table. It is getting updated and updated and updated. Star schema, really? You want to ask star schema now after dealing with star schema already? You created a star schema in your assignment. You did that by your own hands. The star schema is combination, is the basic structure, the basic skeleton, if I say it, that how fact and dimension tables will relate to each other. So there is a fact table in center which has several foreign keys, and these foreign keys map with primary key of each dimension table available there. So if I imagine a star schema of one fact table and 5 dimension tables, it looks like a star if we imagine. That's why we are calling it a star. So a star schema is not fact table. It is fact and dimensions put together. The relation which defines how these tables are exist. If there is only fact table, how is it a star? Mhm. Okay, okay. Anything else? Heard of this thing? ETL? Seen it somewhere in job descriptions and all? Yeah. So that's ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. You fetch the data from data sources, you transform it into a standard form, and then load onto the server. Okay, fair. So let's move towards. Yeah, ATL is mostly DDL. Normalization. Where is that? Where is that coming from? No, we are not there yet. Okay, you are talking about that database and database design, integrity issues and normalization. Okay, that's the database normalization. Okay, uh, the database can. Okay, I'll discuss that normalization within our chapter. There is data normalization and then there is database normalization. So two very different things. I'll talk about it. What we have seen so far, the next step that comes to is and that we come to is data mining. Anji, what is mining? What is data mining? It is just like earth mining. We mine earth for something valuable. Here we mine data for some useful information, some valuable insight, on basis of which we can make some business decisions. Okay. Along with data mining comes, you see, only this and only this is a two-way arrow. All other processes are clockwork. This is a two-way process because data mining doesn't happen without data visualization. The two things go hand in hand. You will just see. There are some definitions of data mining. Wikipedia and Google Dictionary, what do they say? What do you make? What do you make from these definitions? What's data mining all in all? See, there are several and very peculiar definitions of data mining given by different people. What I would say is the thing uh, you should remember is the three things. Data mining is nothing but data mining. We are looking for patterns, trends, and reverse trends. Got it? All in all, we are looking into the existing data, into our historical data, and what we are looking for is patterns, trends, or reverse trends. Fair, succinct, याद रहेगा? I mean, it won't skip your memory. It won't fall out. Yes, no, maybe, simple, typical. Now, there's something very valuable said about data mining. He was not even saying that about data mining. He was saying about something else, but it suits data mining, like 100%. Who said it? The genius, Sir Einstein. What did he say? Pay attention. Think about it. And keep it with you. We will see that soon enough. We will come to this in a day or two. For now, we move ahead. I'll walk you through the various stages and various types. What do we see? What do we say to? As we have already seen, and you already know what's happening currently. Everybody is screaming for data, 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 more data, and more data. What do we do? What do we do when we have that data? So then there can be different kinds of analytics, and we have segregated them into various channels into a particular sequence. That from this to this stage, we will call it one kind of analytics. So these are majorly, there are majorly four types, actually five types, but we are not going there for now into cognitive analytics. Actually, this is the place where AI begins. So that is beyond the scope of this curriculum. Let's talk about others one by one. The first stage or the first type, that is descriptive analytics. And what is that? As the name suggests. So there are a few pointers which I have written here. You can go through them, or maybe you can just pay attention to me. You will get it. I will take, I'll take a typical example, and I will try to explain everything with this example, and I hope everybody will relate to it. Very simple, very straightforward example. Descriptive analytics, as the name says, it describes something. What has happened? What has happened in the past? What this existing data telling me? What our journey has been so far. So that's descriptive analytics. Analytics. For example, for example, a company, a manufacturer of something, they have manufactured something, say beauty soaps or maybe cosmetics, whatever you want to call it, maybe electronics, whatever you want. They are spending some marketing budget. They are recording that amount in lakhs. Okay, making advertisements. Advertisements. Advertisement on channels, on FM, hoardings, wall paintings in market, all right, banners, this and that, whatsoever. So they are spending a certain budget. So it costs. So that becomes their marketing budget, and they are recording it. Finally, they are making some sales also. They are making sales also. Their product is getting noticed, and they are recording this data month on month, year on year, month on month, year on year, and well, after some time, this will become a data set in itself. Yes or no? Now it is a data. Now it is information. What this data is telling me, what this data would tell me. One fine day, the CEO walks into marketing department and says, "What does it say? What does he say? Yes, my marketing stars. What has been happening? Getting the idea? So that's the question which is being answered by descriptive analytics. You are trying to describe with your existing data, with your historical data, that what has been happening. Fair? Got it, everybody? You recorded some data. Now CEO is asking, what has happened? Tell me what has happened, what you people have been up to. Now tell me how would marketing guys respond to this question? CEO standing in the department asking a question. What has happened? You have this data. You have this data, but do you want your CEO to be presented with a printout of this Excel sheet? Would you do that? Should marketing guys do that? What do they do? Problem. Problem doesn't seem like a nice way to deal with a CEO level person. For one, he does not have time. Yes or no? You want to go to him with a printout of this Excel sheet? He doesn't have time to, to run through these numbers. So exactly. That's where visualization comes in. Patterns, trends, reverse trends. Remember? So not like Excel sheet. Maybe what they would do. This seems like a better idea. Maybe marketing can come up with this kind of visualization. What they have done, they have created a scatter plot, marketing budget on x-axis and sales on y-axis. And what they are telling now they are explaining to CEO that, see sir, 3 years ago our budget was this much and we were making this much of sales. Then you improved our budgets and we used it so efficiently that our sales improved to this much. And since then, we are constantly gaining budgets and we are constantly improving sales. Budget improves in lakhs, sales improves in crores. There is a clear cut linear trend. You see how fantastic we are doing, how efficient we people are in improving, in utilizing budget. We are doing wonders here. Maybe you can think of promoting a few of us. Yes or no? You guys are getting it now. The story falling in place, a plan coming together. So that's descriptive analytics. Next comes is diagnostic analysis. Again, very mm, very intuitive name. Diagnostic. It diagnoses. It reasons for something. What is diagnosis? What doctors do? Yes or no? You go to doctor that okay, I am having a headache. The doctor will ask a certain kind of questions. What you ate yesterday? What you drank yesterday? Yes or no? For how long you slept? And this and that, and he will he will prescribe some medicine and this and that. He is trying to diagnose what could have been a possible reason. So that's what diagnostic analytics is. We are trying to reason for a possible cause why something has happened. For example, for example, See, just now you saw that, okay, your budgets are improving and your sales is improving and you are doing wonders. Very nice, fantastic, awesome. What if, so just imagine a different scenario. What if this graph came something like this? What if this graph came something like this? Your budget is improving constantly. You are getting budget, 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 budget. Okay, budget is improving. Sales is more or less, more or less, more or less, more or less in the same bracket. Almost you are having a flat trend. And if this graph was so, CEO was asking, what has happened? You are showing him this graph. What seems to be the next question? I'm getting the gist. CEO standing in the department asking a question. How and what and remedy they are far off. That would come next. First question, yes, obviously. Why? Why is this happening? Why you are laying flat? Maybe he will fire. Maybe I should fire a couple of you. Yes or no? So that is diagnostic analytics. Now what is needed is you need to diagnose from your existing data what has gone wrong. Why is it not the way it was expected to be? So okay, before I move ahead, suppose this actually happens. What's your idea? Why it could happen? Can you come up with a few possible reasons? What do you have to say? Okay, that's good to see that you are coming up with several reasons. Okay, so that's brainstorming and nice to see. Maybe it won't known by anyone like without it. Okay, maybe marketing areas are not okay. Very fine. Maybe product is not up to the mark. Okay, and so not exactly. Think about it. If product is not up to the mark, think about it and tell me if I'm wrong. If product is not up to the mark, then why sell even this much? Why even this? It should have tanked by with time, no? If it was only if it was an issue of product quality, so it doesn't seem like that. I have a stable sales. It is not increasing. The issue is that along with marketing, the sales is not increasing. But anyway, I am having a segment. I have a loyal segment of customers. They are buying it regularly. It is not improving. That's another issue. Okay. Any other reason somebody wants to say? Fantastic, Rehan. Another, yes, very probable thing. Competitor. You have a very aggressive competitor. Whatever you do, they outdo it. Very probable reason. Okay. Presentation. Fantastic, Sonam. Yes, very probable reason. You are spending on marketing, but your presentation is not, not lucrative. You have seen those rubbish ads. You have seen those, no? It is a 2-minute ad. and you can't even make out why it is how it is related with their product. Seen some nonsense ad, that kind of thing? I have seen many. Okay, so you got the idea, right? So these are the things, these kind of things. We try to reason what could be the possible reason, and we try to substantiate that reason backed by proper data. Price is huge. हाँ बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. Very fantastic. True. There is there can be n number of issues. This is also very probable. My product is what? My product is Apple, the iPhone. So it doesn't matter how much I market it. There would be a certain segment who will buy. There would be a segment who will not buy. Very probable reason. This is an imaginary example, but I will show you something because it actually happened. A decade or two ago. The same scenario which we were discussing. Marketing budgets are going on, crazy ride. Sales is more or less, mm, sales is more or less independent from your marketing budget. It happened with many companies, many good companies, very good brands. And when by the time they could diagnose, okay, the damage had already been done. But even then, just like you reasoned recently, they reasoned and found out what, you know what, they were all advertising on traditional mediums. They broke their budgets down, what we are doing where. Maybe we are spending some amount on TV, some on FM, some on newspaper. What they missed a medium which came along and ate everything else. So this is way long back. It was in early 2000s. It happened. Who was that medium? Yes or no? These bar charts, they are showing percentage of population spending hours per 24 hours on a particular medium. So all in all, people are spending some 4 hours on TV, 4 hours on newspaper, 4 hours on radio, and that ratio has been more or less, you know, nitty-gritty varying. In fact, declined. There came another medium, and yes, it stands around. Actually, it is the case. If you are awake, yes, you are checking your WhatsApp or Facebook or Insta, unless and until you fall asleep. Yes or no? Isn't it? Maybe even within the class, within this duration, you have checked your WhatsApp a couple of times. So those were the times when very good companies and they people missed this medium entirely. Currently, there is an entire stream. Heard of digital marketing? There are courses running how to market on digital platforms. Yep. So it is that strong now. Diagnostic analytics. Okay. So well, people. So let's wind it up here for today. You have downloaded those installers. So install R first and then install RStudio. There is nothing like that I should walk you through. So that is pretty much simple. If in case you face any problem, so take help of your peers or maybe drop me a text. Maybe I will connect again. So that is pretty much straightforward. You just have to keep it default. Okay. So let's call it a day and we'll connect again tomorrow, same time. Okay, people. So signing off. Bye and take care. And okay, very welcome. Bye all.